Here at Ikara, working with and inside of Mboka A Nzambe, God's Universal Village in Gabon, and representing the bridge between the West and our village, we'd like to make some distinctions about ourselves. So for those looking for an authentic experience in terms of Bwiti teachings that have stayed whole without fragmentation through the delivery of preservation and an exemplary showing of the discipline of the original teachings descending from the First Nations people in Iboga, the Babongo. Our establishment is here to educate. What may have started out as an intent to have work more with Iboga and see more people have an opportunity to discover who they are, like life, is in constant evolution. It's a constant process. So our distinctions are important for those looking. And I suppose where I'll start here is Bwiti. Now, there are 1,000,001 people saying Iboga provider. And I think people have heard me say this before, but to utter the word provider with the term Bwiti is already cancelling out anything to do with Bwiti, so that doesn't exist. Bwiti isn't a tribe. Bwiti is a spirituality. It's wholeness. It is what everything is. We must make these distinctions. Within Gabon as well, we must also make these distinctions that what you're hearing in the West is traditional Misoko Bwiti. Now, traditional and the word provider in the same sentence once again, not traditional. Traditional and Misoko in the same sentence, despite what anyone else may think. Without you living within a community in Gabon, you will not know this. And even then, it depends where you are, because these branches that I'm about to talk about have bastardized the original teachings and gone off into cults and sectarian behavior that spawn fetishism and other things. So there is no traditional Misoko. Misoko comes from Mitsogo, and the Sogos were the first tribe to be contacted by the Babongo. The Babongo introduced the forest spiritual forces, the pharmacopoeia, and the knowledge of God's body, which is Iboga, the root, to the Sogos. Hence the language within Bwiti today being Sogo, sung in the songs. The spiritualism belongs to the Babongo though. Now, Misoko is a spawn term. If someone says traditional Misoko, Bwiti, once again we'll say and provider, all in one word, you've instantly cancelled out anything to do with Bwiti. Now, Misoko, what? So if someone says Misoko, that's not what it is. What is the branch? So these people that say they're providers, what branch of Misoko are you? What branch? Answer the question. Very important. I'm making these distinctions to show people that how important it is that you know what you're doing when you undertake such a deep, profound spiritual intersection, such as the one of ingesting the flesh of God from the spirituality that comes from the center of the earth today. The spiritual hub of the world is in Gabon, and there's a hub within that, in the center of that country, from the First Nations people. It goes further. Any form being offered in the West today works on fetishism, superstition, psychic reading, attempts to control outcomes. These are all watered down forms, and no matter what anyone says, they are not true Bwiti. Within these processes there's hexing, and there's other types of cursing that occur as well. The use of photographs to control outcomes, and the use of the fetishism. What I'm saying is the objects of others on the body to determine outcomes. This is a falling from grace of the true knowledge. Bwiti, in its essence, in the core, uses the spiritual forces of the forest. It's pure genius, the knowledge of the forest, which is pure spirit within and working within and together with the human organism to sculpt the human organism into a perfect, balanced, living human being as the Babongo were with nature. Now, these processes that you are lucky enough and privileged enough to come and experience in terms of eating Iboga, we need to know something. There's never been a time where Iboga has existed separate from the process of Bwiti. The true teachings in staying whole without fragmenting, knowing that we are everything, are of the utmost importance. The fragmentary forms that we experience today are highly dubious and dangerous. Iboga is not Iboga. It's not as simple as you buying Iboga from Cameroon or buying from a friend. It's never the same. It's not like that. There's preparations to do with Iboga. There's spiritualism attached to the Iboga. The person that's giving you the spoon gives the energy. Very true. So you've got some people saying that they provide Iboga, which doesn't exist in any true Bwiti form. And then on top of that, they're saying traditional Masoga. So what I've just said, we've now delineated that it's Gondet forms of fetishism, are giving you spoons. I'm not here to make a video about a rant to do with my business, because this isn't a business. What may have started as such is not. I'm a spiritualist, first and foremost. And my job as a Maghanga is to educate and to bridge to the West the true teachings of Bwiti. Because they're not being given. And in fact, they should never be uttered in the West the way they're being delivered. Through the admission of more of one of these providers, their admission that the ceremonies that they're giving you in the West have nothing, zero, to do with Bwiti. Putting someone on a mattress, giving them exorbitant amounts of Iboga and putting an eye mask on with a recording of some music does not delineate Bwiti. That's crazy. That's to say that you could go down to a baseball park with a pro side and get down and hit a ball out of the park and say, I'm ready to play pro ball. So this is not about me. I'm saying, how do you think that makes my brothers and sisters feel? Their concern is their culture is being destroyed. Our village is the only operating truly authentic village. It's the equivalent of like a Mennonite village in Gabon. The use of modern implements doesn't exist. To know Bwiti, you must live and breathe it and ingest bois sacré daily. 3 times a day. Until you've sculpted the psychology of yourself completely clean. Here, my traditionalism, my spiritualism is to ingest Iboga daily. Why? Because I need to be rigorous and exemplary in my delivery of the spoon to you. People coming as a provider, coming from being an alcoholic for 9 years and doing a course for 3 months and saying they're clean. The problem with the West and all these providers is all of them have a story. And if you listen, they'll all tell you a tragic story of trauma to sell their point of how that justifies that they can give you Iboga. Because that's the way they've been trained by this guy. It's all sales. And in doing this, the ripple effect back to Gabon is destroying the culture and marginalizing the First Nations people who derive the information they're using. We don't even know the situation in Gabon. So every time you go to one of these retreats, you are funding the proliferation of the degradation of the true teaching. I would be more than happy, and so would my brothers and sisters in Mboka A Nzambe, to hear that these people were just saying, okay, I'm selling Iboga. But to utter the word Bwiti while selling Iboga that way? No. The initiations that these people have aren't even real. They wouldn't know. You can't pay your way in Gabon. My teacher watched me for nearly 2 years. I didn't pay my way. I was asked to go. And my journey is just beginning. But I lived the Bwiti lifestyle completely within a moment, which is work, prayer, dancing, the use of pharmacopoeia, medicines, and ceremony. Completely. And within that, millions of subsets of rules. This is about being clean. So in Africa, I want people to know that the person that's giving you Iboga has to be clean. Before I was even taken to be initiated as a boy, I had 3 weeks of intense cleaning and isolation from the rest of the village. And these people just go over and pay this guy some money and come back and sell you Iboga. Now what this is about is I'm trying to protect the culture, and in doing that, protect your soul. Because you're not going to get any answers through a fragmentary delivery of God's flesh. It's impossible. Iboga works through the efficacy of the Trinity. It's a spiritual tool, and it will fall upon deaf ears time and time again until it's delivered correctly. Today, we have this terrible situation, the abuse of alcohol within temples, sexual debauchery. All of these things were highly dubious within Bwiti. They would not be allowed. And these people that are delivering you Iboga now would not make it through the gate at my village. Not one of them. And they've assumed the authority of Bwiti. They do not have one iota of authority in Bwiti. I don't need to rattle off all the names. They're all there. There's none that is delivering a true traditional knowledge of how it should be given. And here at Ikara, I'm making these distinctions because we're here to actually develop a bridge to authenticity so people can come and learn through earning the knowledge, the true teachings. And you'll hear everyone say that. I've got true teaching, traditional training, all this. Trust me. I encourage anyone to contact me and we'll talk about it and I'll introduce you to it. Now's the time. I'm here to do this now. This is why I'm doing it. I don't need to be in this situation financially. I don't need anything financially. I'm Bwiti, according to the true teaching of the First Nations. It's my choice, and I was chosen. Now I know better. I thank everyone for the lessons, and now I know better. Now's the time for people to understand what this really is. And here at Ikara, you experience a completely different delivery of Iboga in ceremony. It will not resemble anything to do with these other people. The music that they even play is just download YouTube recordings. And they claim, oh, this is my temple's music. I've been part of it here with one guy. He copyrighted someone else's music and sells it. At Ikara, we use our Maghanga, we use our gombe, we use our choirs, our songs. 15 hours of it. All of my music, all of my people's music. All of your interaction and energy is reciprocal with our people in the village back to you every ceremony. From my great teacher, Adamangana, my brothers and sisters, all of them I'm in contact with constantly, daily, all the time, encouraging me to maintain my work, to maintain my living lifestyle, my Bwiti lifestyle. As advisories, as companions, as mentors, until we return. And we return again next February. So I hope to make these strong distinctions for everybody so they understand, just initially here today, the difference between what we think Bwiti is and what it isn't. It needs to be revealed in the West so we can protect it. Our funds here go to Mboka A Nzambe, to the orphanage, to our people, to the Babongo First Nations, in Dubois, the 7 villages that we look after there. Our money goes to maintain the non-for-profit organisation, which is the village, and also our donation and volunteer work that we work with. Why? Because this is all about the preservation of the indigenous knowledge and the truth of Bwiti. So I would encourage anyone who's very interested in experiencing something authentic and completely different, where someone is so invested in what they're doing that they know, that we know in true Bwiti, we believe we are you. We are one another. There is no difference. Psychologically, there is none. We've created illusions. There's fear that divides us. There's no difference. But someone must show that. And for someone to be dirty to give you a spoon, they've just recovered from being an alcoholic, or they're still out having bad habits, or they're still living in their parents' house, or they're still doing these things. These people are not Bwiti. They can't be, because they're not living and breathing the culture. The only way you can know Bwiti is to live and breathe it and ingest Bwasa Iboga daily until you're sculpted and clean. That's what qualifies you to give someone a spoon. Community vision developed upon your cleanliness. No one dare touch a spoon. My brother Itudi spent 10 years initiated as a Ganga into Dusumba, initiated as a Ganga into Miobe. He's Mawiri, working at the right side of His Majesty for 10 years before he was actually allowed to stand in for when His Majesty wasn't there to give a spoon of Iboga to someone. 10 years. And someone can go and be an alcoholic and the next minute say, I've been through it, I qualify, I've paid a Gabonese businessman $25,000. He's promised me that I'd make all that back within the year so I can pay off the HEX bill and everything else, and I can give people a Iboga. This is an awesome money-making scheme because I'm so broken I don't know what else to do with myself, because if I don't keep myself occupied, I'm just going to drink myself to death. That's not Iboga. That's not Bwiti. So please, come somewhere where people are clean, exemplary and rigorous in their demonstration of what Bwiti is, and very forthwith and open and offering of true, authentic information. There's nothing that we'll hide. There's nothing that we can't try to assist you with. This is a true delivery of what Bwiti should be. So peace, love and grace. I look forward to receiving calls, inquiries and general conversation, most importantly, in and around the ideas of what Bwiti is, because this is just touching on the surface of how much I can demonstrate and what I can and can't demonstrate, because information must be earned. This is what we need to do, because we need to preserve the culture. Bwiti in Gabon is being destroyed. I spent time there recently, right? And I'll be going back in February. And it was shocking to see that the deliveries of Bwiti have fallen so far from the true knowledge. They're nothing like First Nations spiritual information, which it's spawned, which comes from. So let's look towards authenticity and contributing back to the preservation of the knowledge so we can build a perpetual cycle of kinetic, like psychic energy that can start to build this into strong healing for others, which is not going to happen by lying on a mat with an exorbitant amount of Iboga with some music and an eye mask on. I've been part of it and it doesn't work. So let's come to truth.